Okay, Bismillah. Okay, folks, we're looking at some bit of factorizing homework helps, going through some corrections in homework. So here we go. We've got 5yz plus 10z. We've been factorizing this using common factorizing technique, common factors technique. So let's have a look at what we have here. And as I've always said in these kind of questions, we need to have an idea when we start on what we can see is the highest common factor. So I can see that there's a z in here and there's a z in here. So part of my highest common factor, there is a z in there. Now, there's a 5 here in front of us, and there's also a 5 in the 10. So don't forget that. So the highest common factor is 5z. You need to write that down first. You need to know what your highest common factors are, what you're going to pull out before you start the question. Then you can go out and pull those numbers out. Okay? That's the bit that was missing on the homework. You need to write that down first. So now let's split this up now. So 5yz becomes, you can say 5 times by y times by z plus, now 10 can be split up into 5 times by 2 times by z. So remember I said you inside the 10 is a 5. Now let's find our common factors. So our common factor is here. We have a 5 on this side and a 5 on this side. We have a z on this part and we have a z on that part. We've got to pull those two factors out. So we now have outside 5z. Reconstitute the brackets. So what's left over is the y. What's left over is the plus. And what's left over is the 2. And we have finished our question. So 5yz plus 10z becomes 5z outside and y plus 2 inside. Okay. Now, how do we know that we factorized the question properly? We can multiply it out. So 5z times by y is 5yz and 5z times by plus 2 is 10z. Also, the way we check that we factorize it properly, we look inside the brackets. Can we factorize what's inside the brackets again? And the answer is no. If we can factorize again, then we've done a partial factorization. Then we haven't finished. You've got to do it again. Okay? That's what's happening on the homework. Partial factorization is happening. So let's look at the next one. So the highest common factor is we got an x, just x times by x here, and there's an x here. So definitely in my highest common factor, I'm going to have an x in there. Now, inside the 8 and the 10, what's the highest common factor of 8 and 10? Highest common factor of 8 and 10 is 2. So there's a 2 as well. So I'm looking to pull out a 2 and an x. So the 8 can be written down as 4 times by 2 times by the x times by the x. We're just splitting everything up into its factors. Put the plus back in. So now 10 becomes what? 5 times by 2 and then times by the x. So we're looking for the highest common factor of 2x, and there it is. Here's the first one and here's the second one. We grab those and we bring them out. What do we do next? We copy everything else down. So we're left with a 4 4x. Copy the plus down. Whoops. And we left with a 5. And that's it. Are we happy with that? Next question. Same thing again. Let's have a look. What is the highest common factor? Well, we have a z times by z here, and we have a z there, single z. So we know we're going to have a z in our highest common factor. Now the number 18 and 12, what is the highest common factor? It is 6. Well done. So we can split up 18 into 3 times by 6 times by z times by z. Put the minus back in. And then we can move on to 12 is equal to 2 times by 6 times by, we can put the z first if you like, and then put the y afterwards. That doesn't matter. Mathematics, when you got a product, you can change the order around to make it easy for ourselves. These are z's. These. So the highest common factor is 6z. I can see right here nice and clearly. Grab it, pull it out. Grab it, pull it out. So we have a nice 3z outside. Now what are we left with inside? So pardon me, nice 6z outside. Oh, okay, just quickly rewind. So nice 6z outside. So we're left with now, bring the 3z back in. Bring the minus back down. And bring the 2y back in. And that's the end of that question. So the key to this question is what? We have to look at the highest common factor and decide what we're going to pull out before we start. Otherwise, we're going to miss factors. The next question over here, highest common factor for this one is, well, there's an x in here, and in here, and in here. Okay, so there's an x in there. There's a 2 here, there's a 2 inside the 8, and there's a 2 here. So the highest common factor is not x, but it is 2x. So we can rewrite this next line as 2x times by x squared. We don't need to split it up into individual x's. That's not necessary. Are you paying attention? Do you understand that? Yeah? So 8x squared becomes, it becomes 4 multiplied by 2x times by x. And now, because we're going to pull the 2x out, we can't leave the 2x on its own. We have to say 2x times by 1. We're going to put the times by 1 in there. Now is the moment of truth. Let's circle the highest common factor, which is the 2x, and the 2x, and the 2x. Pull that out. And we're left with an x squared here, and minus 4x here, and a plus 1. So the key to the question is identifying and stating the highest common factor, and then being able to purposely pull those factors out, checking that you can't factorize anymore this part here, brackets, and we can't, so we move on. Are we happy with that? Okay, there it is. Okay, the next one. Right, I mean, so we have x squared. Now this question here actually a bit of a trick question. It wasn't actually a factorizing question. You got 10x squared minus 6x squared. That gives us simply what? There's nothing for here to factorize. You just take them away. They're like terms. Are we happy with that one? So in the next one we have 2a squared b plus 3a squared c and plus a squared. So what is the highest common factor here? We only have one highest common factor. A what? A squared. So we can write this as 2 times by a squared times by b plus 3 times by a squared times by c. Remember, if you got a squared on its own, we must put times by 1. Because when you pull the a squared out, you'll have a gap. Let's grab the a squared highest common factor from here, and from here. Put the a squared outside. What we're left with here is 2b. What we're left with here is plus 3c. And what we're left with here, plus 1. And that's the end of our short factorizing homework help video. Hope this helps so you can do some corrections. Okay, lovely. See you next video, inshallah.